So thank you for joining me today on the Mighty Dragon podcast, and we have the fabulous Maria Tran with us today. Hello, Maria.
Hello, Vicky. It's really great to be on your lovely podcast. It's over the years reading all the articles, and finally we're in visual format,
Ah,
so this is great.
well, this is your second appearance in a way, because we did a written interview a while ago, didn't we? And it's good to catch up with you now, since then, as to what you're doing. I saw on Facebook your new project, and I thought I must reach out to Maria to catch up with her on this. And it's My Mother, the Action Star. Can you tell us a bit more about it and how it came to be?
Yeah, sure thing. To be honest with you, I was reached out by a film producer named Philippa Bateman via Instagram. Uh, a couple of years ago, I worked with her on a really strong documentary called The Beehive about another female activist based out in King's Cross in Sydney. And Philippa's always been quite drawn towards strong female characters. And she basically told me, hey, there's this documentary and it'll be great for you to do something about it. And to be honest with you, like when it comes to documentaries, I'm not really your go-to person. I'm usually more about action films and stuff of that type of genre.
Yes.
And for me, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and she was like, I really love the action stuff, and I know you're starting to get into theater because in Australia, like I'm starting to sort of move into the realm of theatre through even last year working as a fight director on Bell Shakespeare's Macbeth and also playing one
Oh,
of the,
yes.
and even this year I've been getting hunted down to do a lot of fight choreography and action directing in some of the web series and films in Australia. So it's been
Wow.
quite exciting. It's been quite exciting for myself, especially now that there's this whole movement of seeing more women taking leadership in terms of the film industry, especially in these key creative positions, but more so in action directing, where there's really not a lot of women at the moment playing in that field. But I
Yes.
guess this documentary, to be honest with you, like I didn't even think I was going to involve my mom. I was actually quite reluctant when they said, "Oh, okay, we like what you do, and what else is interesting about your life?" And to be honest with you, there's my mom, and she came to Australia like this, and they're like, wait, she did what? Like, do you know more about this? And I was like, not really. To be honest, I don't have the strongest relationship with my mom, and I felt a little bit, embarrassed by it. But it actually propelled me to go back to my mom and sort of have a conversation with her and tell her what I'm doing. And then she kind of said something, which at first I was a little bit offended because it kind of like offended my ego. She's like, why are you always like looking at men for inspiration? And I was like, oh, excuse me, mum, like I'm a strong, independent woman and blah, blah, blah. But then it propelled me to sort of ask her, like, oh, tell me about you. And that was how it all started.
Yeah.
I'm asking about her journey. And it's one of the first times that I've really got a chance to connect with her. Over the
Right.
years, it's been such a frayed relationship.
Okay.
You know, sort of a daughter running off trying to do her thing, and a mum's always giving her advice, but it always lands on unheard ears.
Yeah.
But this documentary allowed me to really connect with her. And through
Yes.
that process, there was much more. There was like hours and hours of like interview footage, but the bits that really resonated with me is what ended up in the can for the documentary. And I felt that it wasn't only for me. It's a lot of women out there, especially
Yeah.
strong women. There's a lot of strong women out there that we've got so much we're doing for the world. We know the impact of our work, but sometimes we do forget
Yeah.
to reflect back on our journeys in our families and
Would you
really.
say, Maria, sorry to cut in there,
No,
would you
okay, no.
say that women are still quite underrepresented, or you can see now, as you were saying, some changes, or do you still feel there's a long way to go here?
I, I I still think that there is a long way to go. Even personally for me, I feel like each time I step in to these roles, I kind of have to remind people why we need women to
Yeah,
be playing these sort of fields like action and all that, and not just being like an actor but also being able to come up with choreography and sort of make decisions. And and I think that I feel like I've always I still keep on reminding people when I get on set. I'm like, I have to kind of do a little bit more talking to let them know that I can do the job. I'm not
yeah,
just girl getting on set and making things up, or like I know somebody and somebody likes me and now I'm on set. It's not that. I do have my credentials and I've worked really hard to be here. So I feel like I
yeah.
still have to do that. More of a movement of women. Like I personally feel like it's just, it can't just be with me. I need to see more women, more women in this field. And I'm always wanting to find ways to get more women.
Seems like you're the trailblazer to kick things off.
I'm trying. Sometimes it is quite tough because even for women, we do have our own sets of, you know, sometimes I would say, insecurities. Sometimes we get a win, but then we question ourselves as well. So that stuff I feel like as, coming from a women's perspective, that we also need to have these women's circles to overcome that sort of
Yes.
like learnt mentality. So yeah. Mm.
I think in a recent podcast of mine, I was talking to the actress Celeste Sully about the support networks that she has created around her, like women of colour in film and things like that. Is just so important, isn't it, as a woman? And you just to get that support around you of like-minded ladies who have a story to tell and want to do their thing. So I just wanted to ask Maria, when you this process with your mum and you were talking through everything that she'd been through, which from the trailer just looked terrible experience, did you learn anything new about your mum as
Yeah.
like someone who stepped outside of the daughter role, you know?
Mm. I think all the years of thinking, me and her were quite different. To be honest with you, like I felt that there's a lot of strength that I have that actually stems from her. And I
Yes.
think now realizing and hearing her explanation of the way she thinks and how she kept on going, she didn't once think of what if. Like she just needed to find her independence in a new country. Um,
Yeah.
it's a huge thing, and I never really thought about it. I just thought it's just something she went through. But I didn't
Yes.
realize at this moment that it was actually a decision, because a lot of people didn't do that. She did. She
Yeah.
defied her family, she defied society. She kept on trying to leave the country. She was jailed 6 times and still kept on going,
Incredible.
you know?
Incredible.
And I thought to myself, like, weren't you scared? And she goes, of course I'm scared, but I need to believe that I can make it through, because that's the only thing that will get me through. Otherwise I
Wow.
would stop. And
Amazing.
even when for her now, she was like, for her coming to this country now, all she has is her daughters, and all she can do is keep on being strong
Yeah.
for her daughters to keep going. Because each time
Yeah.
I talk, sometimes she's like, why don't you just do it? Just do it. Don't be fearful. Just do it. And I'm like, Mum, why would you know? Like, you always think it's easy, but then I realize actually she's supporting me in the way she keeps on telling me to do the things I need to do. And to be honest with you, my doco project I did, Quest for Jackie Chan, like many years
Oh
ago,
yes. Yeah.
my mum was a strong factor in that. She used to think that she used to have this idea that she's like, if you put it out there, maybe Jackie can feel it. If you really, really believe it, I think Jackie can feel it. And I was always thinking, my mom, you're crazy. Other people might think you're a witch lady, okay? And she'll help me make a bear that looked like Jackie. And she was like, this is the symbol of hope. I'm like, Mum, you just made me a bear. You do realize that looks like a voodoo bear, right, Mom? But she always did all these small little things for me that I think when I was a kid growing up, I didn't really quite appreciate. And now I realize that, oh my gosh, Mum, you're my
Yeah.
hero. You're my action star, Mum.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
through the process of making the doco, I think my relationship with her, we grew closer,
Yeah.
and and like and realizing she's so funny. She's
Yes.
so funny and she's so lighthearted and she's so authentic. There's some of the works I do, she'd be like, oh my God, it's terrible, Maria. Your acting's horrible. You should work on this and that. Like, Mom, I'm just saying, I'm your mom. Just letting you know because I want you to be the best. I'm like, okay, Mom, but still, sometimes the things you say kind of, hurts my ego.
Yeah. Oh,
But we
it's
have a great
only among
yeah, we have
sometimes.
yeah.
Sometimes mothers tell the brutal truth, don't they? So,
Yeah.
so when you were growing up, Maria, who were your inspirations? Were they mostly men? When you look back now,
Hmm. I think most of it was probably from the Hong Kong cinema genres, all the police films, all the underdog films that Jackie and Donnie and Jet Li they played. I love watching those because it kind of made me feel like I could be like that. I'm in this situation where I don't have any power, any control. I'm getting bullied, but I can fight my way out. So that they were my role models. I felt like they were like my best friends on screen. Each time I see them, I'm like so excited.
yeah.
And I had like other female role models like Michelle Yao, Cynthia Khan, Cynthia Rothrock, all
Oh
those
yeah.
people I see on screen as well, because they were like, the strong women characters who you don't see their gender on screen. You just see them as badass women trying to do the right thing, and I love that. So
Yes.
growing up, I had those role models. And I
Yeah.
think even in the films I make, I always love bringing out elements of those characters, and even creating projects and stories that have that sort of look and feel as well.
Did you feel unusual at school having those type of role models?
Yes, hence I think growing up, that's why I was kind of like I got outcasted in my group. I remembered some of the girls were like, you're not really into these girl magazines, so I don't think you're one of us. I think you need to go and play with the boys. So, it was hard to relate because I just couldn't, I wasn't interested in the stuff that girls are into. I think I was interested in seeing action on screen and those types of stories. So yeah, I was pretty much the black sheep. And to be honest, not only that, I had a bit of a speech impediment when I was a kid growing up as well. So I was slightly dyslexic in a sense that when I read backwards, and when I speak, I was always overthinking that. Then when the words came out, it didn't come out right. So growing up, I had a lot of things that was going on that I felt that if I didn't find myself like the heroes in the films I watch, like Jackie Chan and all that, if I don't become like them and
Mm.
try to overcome these challenges, that
Yeah.
I'm gonna live the rest of my life like this. And I think my high school years, there was many turning points for me to really get out of my situation and stop being the kid that gets bullied in school, but overcome that and be able to speak and connect and fight for the nerds, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think, I think going into acting after you experience a speech impediment was just an incredibly brave step for you. And it looks like you're someone who just faces your challenges and you face them full on and you just go for it. It's the impression I get from you.
I try.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Um, I just wondered, are you going to now move into more documentary style now that you've created this?
I do find that like I've been doing like different documentaries in the process of what I'm doing. Like, yes, in Australia, I produce things, I sometimes direct things, I do the action stuff. But to be honest, in this country, a lot of my work is working with community, working
Right.
with outreach, at-risk communities, doing documentaries for non-for-profit organizations. And I think I'm quite good at it because I do love people. Like, I do love the fact that, people might be struggling, or they might be in a situation where it's quite tough. And I just want to be able to be there to listen and for
Yeah.
them to tell their story. Because when people tell their stories, it's not only magic that happens to them, but it's also magic happens for the audiences. So I've been doing some documentaries, like with homelessness,
Okay.
women, DV, and like people in different artistic practices, or, untold stories. I always love those types of topics. And that's sort of the thing that I do in Australia. It's quite different from the action stuff, but it does allow me to really, like, I think, be down to earth and utilize my skill of listening and connecting with people on that level, and allowing people to tell their story the way they want it to be told, and
Yeah.
for that to have an impact, a social impact, in the world or in the region they live in. Yeah. So
Okay, that's
I'm
wonderful.
getting, yeah, I'm getting stuff with Docker, but at the same time, someone I think reminded me, go, Maria, I know you can do that, but the stuff you do with action, if you can do that and do that well, it's even going to be more powerful, because then you're going to have this world and this world together. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to be a compassionate person who is in the action film genre field, which is a
Yes.
lot of times we know that, like, action films are stereotypically beefcakey, very dudeish with guns and coming in fight scenes, and a lot of times I think they're very, one-dimensional human beings on the outside. It's very rare to find people with layers on the outside who care for the world and who
Yes.
are, yeah. So, and I hope to be able to be that person, because I realize how important we need more of that in the world. We need more kindness, care, and compassion. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. How do we get to see your docu-series?
I think they've recently uploaded it on this place called the Sydney Morning Herald. So with this doco, basically I was approached, they gave me a grant, and they said they were going to publish it on some really big newspapers in Australia, the Sydney Morning
Great.
Herald, as well as the Age, and it was publicised all over Australia. So I've been getting so
Yes.
many emails of people saying, holy moly, first off, we didn't know that there was someone doing this genre in Australia. Second of all, this amazing refugee strong female story as the undertone. So it really allowed those two worlds to join. So I think at the moment in Australia, it's really given me a little bit of limelight. But at the same time, just for them to even see the journey that I'm in, it's just not one dimensional, that I'm not just some girl going, I want to be a star. No, it's not
Yeah,
that. It's
yeah.
more to it as well. Yeah, yeah.
I can't wait to see all of that. So I'll obviously tag it all into my blog when everything's up and running and out there, and I'll put the trailer on as well that you released on
Awesome.
Facebook too, so everyone can see it. So I just finally wanted to thank you again for joining this podcast and telling us about my mother, the action star. And I want to say hello to your mum as well. She sounds just a wonderful woman, incredibly brave, wonderful. So thank you for sharing that with us too. So Maria Tran, thank you for joining the Mighty Dragon today. And also I wanted to say congratulations on your wedding this year.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I
I
thought
know.
I'd slip that in.
I don't even know how I actually like fit that in. I was just going, oh, is it a wedding? And I keep
Yeah,
going.
the
But yeah,
photographs were wonderful.
and the great thing is, like, I can still do the thing I love. So that's the
Yes,
great thing. We thought, if I'm
yes.
toned down, it's the end of me. But no, not
No, never. Thank you,
the
Maria. Have a lovely evening, and
you.
I'll speak to you soon. Take care of yourself. Bye bye. That's all from the Mighty Dragon for now. Speak to you soon.